Welcome back. And now for the final leg of the show, let me take you to Coconut Grove, where the Plan International Ghana, a development and advocacy organization that advances, child's rights and equality for girls, is marking International Women's Day on the theme National Level Advocacy to mark International Women's Day. Please enjoy.
Madam Maltiti, our able MC, thank you for the nice introduction. I also want to thank Asum for having set the stage very clearly. Good morning, everyone. But before I go into, sharing my message, let me acknowledge the dignitaries here. I know we are expecting the Director of Gender from the Ministry of Gender, but I would like to acknowledge Mrs. Lauren Cameron from the Global Affair Canada, our Nana Nom and Queen Mothers, the head of government institutions, our implementing and strategic partners of the WISE projects, the women rights organization present here, the civil society organization and international NGO present, the member of the various WISE project communities. I see many of you here. Welcome. I want to acknowledge our colleague from Plan International Ghana and specifically welcome Mrs. Zaina Faraz, our senior advisor for gender equality and inclusion, who came all the way from Plan Canada to support us here. You're very much welcome. All media houses, ladies and gentlemen, again, a pleasant morning to you, and welcome to the launch of the National Advocacy Campaign on fostering economic justice and equality for women leaders in business and entrepreneurship for accelerated economic growth, which we regard as a movement for empowerment, a journey toward progress and justice, a platform for change, and a beacon of hope for a more just and equal future. Today, we come together, not just as individuals, but as a collective force, to shine a light on a crucial issue that resonates deeply with all of us: the promotion of women leadership in all aspects of society. As we convene here, we celebrate the strength, the resilience, and the untapped potential of women leaders throughout the world. For many years, development practitioners have dreamt of a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where difference is valued and celebrated. Women have long been at the forefront of driving positive change, breaking barriers, and paving the way for a more inclusive and equitable world. Yet, despite the immense contribution, women continue to face systemic barriers that hinder the path in all spheres of life. Women equal access to land, to affordable financial services, and their ascension to leadership role must be prioritized to achieve economic justice and equality for women. Investing in women's economic empowerment set a direct path towards gender equality, poverty eradication, and inclusive and economic growth. When a woman thrives, all of society benefits. We therefore gather here today, united in solidarity, to challenge these barriers, dismantle stereotypes, and empower women to lead with confidence and conviction. Distinguished guests, policymakers, advocates, supporters, champions of change, Plan International Ghana, as a human rights organization, seeks to improve the lives of children, especially girls and young women, who are the most vulnerable in our societies. We go beyond the symptoms of the many challenges affecting girls, young women, and women to explicitly tackle the root causes of gender inequality, particularly the unequal power relations, discriminatory social norms, while working on beliefs, systems, structures, policies, and practices at the individual,
Thank you. I think Mr. Asum did my job for me. Because whilst he was talking, I asked myself, do I really need to come up stage to do my presentation? Because he's done about 50 to 60%. But for the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time, we just want to give a brief overview of what the WISE project is all about, so that you have a bit of understanding what the project is doing, so that you'll be able to follow through the discussions that will take place today. So the project is being funded by Global Affairs Canada for a period of 5 years. We started implementation in January 2020, and we are going all the way to December 2024. And then we have Plan International Canada, Plan International Ghana as implementers of the project, but we have 2 other local implementing partners, that's WIDO and then Urbanet partnering on the project. So WIDO is overseeing all the project implementation in the Bono areas, so that's Techimai, Sunyani, and the Internal North municipalities. And then when you go to Northern region, we are working in 2 districts, that's Tolong and then Kumbogo district, and then Urbanet that is overseeing the project implementation there. We have other strategic partners on the project, so Ghana Enterprises Agency, given the fact that we are talking about women's economic empowerment, so business development services are very key to whatever the women are doing. So Ghana Enterprises Agency, together with their decentralized offices at the district assemblies, that's the business advisory centers, we are working with them. We equally have ISOCO on board, and then they are providing e-extension services to our women, because we have a number of them who are into soya cultivation, a number of them who are doing green businesses, and they need technical information and then services from time to time. So ISOCO is helping us with that aspect of the project. ISOCO is also helping us provide marketing linkages to the women for the products that they are producing. We have AGI, and then they are helping us with the mentorship opportunities that we have on the project, because we have our top flying women, we call them mentees, and then AGI was instrumental to get experienced business women, about 10 of them, to mentor our mentees for a period of 4 months for us. And then they're equally helping us with the marketing linkage. Then we have CDC Consult. They facilitated all the financial linkages to the financial institutions. We have 5 financial institutions on board, and I think Maltiti introduced 2 of them here. We have Nkranza Rural Bank, and then we have Insurantrema Rural Bank. We have 3 others, Opportunity International, and then Capital Rural Bank, and then Bonzali Rural Bank. So these are the 5 financial institutions that we are working with. So it was ISOCO that facilitated that process for us, and then currently they are helping us roll out financial literacy training to all our beneficiaries, women that we have in the 150 communities. We also have women rights organizations, because the project is heavy on gender equality. So we have about 11 women rights organizations on the project, but present here we have only 5 of them. So these are our strategic partners. We equally have government agencies at the district level who are equally helping us with the implementation of the project. We are talking about the district assemblies, district and municipal assemblies. We are talking about Environmental Protection Agency. We are talking about Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Then at the district level, there are Department of Agriculture, and then we are talking about the Department of Gender. So we have Net Right, and then other gender officers at the district level who are supporting us with the project implementation. So as a project, we set off to reach about 12,641 women. But as I go down, you see that we've surpassed the number that we initially targeted. And then these women are aged between 19 to 55 years. And then we are hoping that by the end of the project, we should have indirectly reached about 156,000 156,000, and then out of this number, 86% of them should be women. So geographically, I think Mr. Asnum talked about it, but we are located in Tolon Kumbugo in the northern, and then Sunyani Municipal, Tano North, and then Techimai Municipal. So in each of the project locations, we are working in 30 communities. So across the 5 project locations, we have 150 communities that we are working in. And the overall goal of the project is increased realization of rights to economic empowerment, well-being, and inclusive economic growth for targeted women in Northern Bono East and then Ahafo regions. And then for us to be able to achieve our ultimate outcome, we are doing this through 2 ultimate outcomes. Improved women's agency for them to take part to exercise their decision-making regarding economic participation, and then increase productivity, profitability, and then innovation in the businesses that they are operating. So with this, we have 2 main economic value chains that we are working with. We have the soya value chain, and basically we are looking at all the activities along the soya segment, right from production all the way till the final product gets to the consumers. Then we equally have what we call the green businesses. And green businesses, we are basically looking at businesses that the women can do to enable them earn an income, and then they will be able to protect the environment. Because when it comes to environmental protection, GAC is very heavy on it. So these are businesses that the women are doing, and then it's helping them to protect the environment in a way. So in a snapshot, we've achieved a lot, but for the sake of time, I will just mention a few things that we want to share with everyone here. So as a project, we normally start off with our VSLA concept that we use to mobilize our beneficiaries, bring them together for them to network and then save and then borrow from whatever meetings that they're having at the community level, so that later on when we roll out the skills training to them, they'll be able to get funds from their group's level there to be able to invest in their businesses. So with our VSLA concept, we've been able to mobilized and then formed about 560 VSLA groups till date across all the 150 communities that we are working in. And then these 560 VSLA groups, we have a total membership of 14,123 women. And these women have received capacity building trainings on selected gender equality models. Some include how to communicate assertively with their partners and even among themselves when they meet at the group level, how they can manage their homes so that they will be able to get the support of their partners in whatever businesses that they are doing. We've equally given them financial literacy training so that they will know the essence of saving, and then what are the needs, what are the wants, so that they'll be able to differentiate between these two, so that they are not just saving and then investing those monies in wants instead of focusing on their needs and then setting long-term and then short-term goals. So they've received varied capacity building trainings to bring them up to speed, where you get to see some of the results down there later on when we go down. So we are not just working with only the women. We needed the support of the men, given that they are wives, mothers, sisters of the men in the communities that we are working in. So we had to find a way to bring on board the men on the project. So when you go to each of the beneficiary communities, we have some group of men we call male champions. You can call them champions of change. And these are men who self-selected. So they nominated themselves and they said, okay, we are interested in what we are doing. We are passionate about it. And then we have interest in women's economic empowerment. So we want to help you. So they are sort of living positive, exemplary lifestyles for other men in the community to follow. I think County Director mentioned in his speech issues of unpaid care work, which is an issue our women are battling with. So these are male champions in the communities. How can they role model positive lifestyles by helping their partners at the household level for other men to emulate the positive behavior that they are putting up. So we have in total 1,350 of these men across our project communities that we are working with. We give them capacity building training, and then they in turn go back to the communities to engage their fellow men. We equally have our traditional and the religious leaders, including the Queen Mothers, the Magagies, and then I think they have beautifully graced our occasion here for us. So we have 450 of them. So each community, we get the traditional chief, we get the Magagia or the Queen Mother, and then we get a religious leader, whether Christian or Muslim. So 3 in each community, and then given that we are trying to tackle issues of social cultural norms, given that we are trying to see how we can get cultivable farmlands for our women, and they are the custodians of these farmlands, we had to bring them on board for them to use their platforms to be able to champion our cause for us. So we have 450 of them on the project that we are working with. We also have something we call our safe space. We are working with nursing mothers, some are nursing mothers, and then for the fact that when they go for trainings, they need to be comfortable to be able to concentrate on whatever session that is going on. So we needed to come up with a concept that will allow these women to have free time to be able to participate in trainings, or even when they are going for their weekly VSLA meetings. So with this safe space, we've established 70 of them across our 150 communities that we are working in. And you can term them as childcare centers. So we have caregivers who have been trained on planned safeguarding policies, child protection policies, and then they are manning these 70 safe spaces that women on a daily basis, they take their children there, they leave them there, and then either go for trainings, go to do their house chores, or the woman wants to rush to the farm or get to the market and then quickly come back. So she goes to leave the child there, and then she goes to do whatever she wants to do, and then she comes back to pick this child. So 70 of these safe spaces working in our communities, and we've provided them with some learning through play materials that the caregivers use to engage these children at the centers. Surprisingly, some communities have been innovative enough, and then where they don't have schools, they're trying to see how they can turn these childcare centers into private schools for their own benefit, which is really great and impressive. That's what we want them to do. We also have the skills training that I talked about, that's the soya value chain, and then the green businesses. So far, we've been able to train about 3,450 of our women. So our target number, because one may be asking, we have a target of 12,641, and then looking at the number that we've trained, it's quite small. So we targeted 4,046 right from the word go in our project proposal. And then when we rolled out that skills training, we were able to reach 3,450 women with the soya gaps training and then the green businesses training. And then out of that number that we trained, we could only support 1,771 with startup support to be able to start these businesses of their choice. So the green businesses, for instance, we are looking at mushroom, we are looking at snail rearing, and then beekeeping. So we have our women across the 5 project locations, they are doing beekeeping, and then mushroom, snail, when you go to the Bunu areas, we have plenty of women doing it there. The northern region you go, we have only a few women doing the mushroom cultivation. For snail, it's more of a cultural issue because they don't eat mushroom snail there. So we tried, we piloted, but it didn't work. So you are looking for snail, you can only find them in the Bunu areas. For the soya cultivation, we are doing heavy cultivation in the northern region because northern region is known as the transitional zone for soya cultivation. So for the past 3 years, we've been able to support a little over 1,600 women to do soya cultivation. And then this year, they will do the cultivation on their own because we are drawing our curtains on the project. So we also have a unique concept on the project that we call our solar hubs. Given that these women are coming up with products that they will need market linkages. So aside what Isoko and then AGI is doing for us, we had to come up with a concept that will make available integrated business development services for our women. and then also market linkage for them. So our solar hubs, these are prefabricated kiosks that we imported from Germany. And then we have 3 of them. So one is in northern region, Vogo community, that's Kumbugu district. And then when you go to the Bonu areas, one is in Sunyani, and then one is in Tano North municipality. Because of budgetary constraints, we couldn't provide for all 5 project locations. So they had to actually compete. And then these 3 districts, they won. So they are situated there. And then at each of the hub centers, we've mounted a desktop computer that's through the initiative of Isoko. They've developed what we call the Bits and Offers platform, which is a marketing platform that they've installed on these computers at the hubs. That if a woman has a product and then she wants to sell, it's just a matter of she walking to the hub and then provides her information. The agents who are there, they upload the information on the Bits and Offers platform, and then a potential buyer links up with them, and then they take the conversation from that place. If they also need weather information, if they need extension information, whatever business development information that they need, they walk to these hubs, they will be able to access information. Because these hubs are just an extension of the business advisory centers that we have at the district level. So whatever service or product that you find at the business advisory centers at the district level, if you walk into any of these hubs, you'll be able to access the same services. So what lessons have we learned so far as a project? We have come to realize that the VSL groups that have promoted savings culture among our beneficiary community members, resulting in an increased demand for the savings groups by both men and women. So we are focusing on only women, but now you go to our communities, because of the enormous benefits that the community members are realizing from these savings groups. We have our male champions also saying that they want to be part of these savings groups that we have formed. And some have even gone ahead on their own to purchase these VSLA kits, and then they are doing the savings on their own. So that shows the magic that the Village Savings and Loans Associations concept is working in these beneficiaries communities. We've also come to realize that women have acquired knowledge and skills to improve their businesses. One example being the understanding around when to take a loan, and then the importance of saving as a result of the trainings that we have provided. Unlike first, you speak with a woman, she says, okay, I'm doing this particular business, but I use not to save. I use not to plan. So it's just a matter of she's selling on a daily basis. Whatever profit that she's making, she's not tracking it, and then she doesn't even spend it purposefully. But through our trainings, now if they want to go and then take a loan from their groups, they sit down and plan, okay, what am I taking the loan for? And then what business will I invest in to be able to make some good profit that I will be able to repay the loan and then still have some cash on me to cater for my family. So, which is a plus to us as a project. The concept of using our male champions, local authorities, and then religious leaders has caused a systematic change. For example, we have chiefs that are now giving cultivable lands to women to support their soya bean cultivation in the northern region. And I think I will single out the Tring community in Kumbugu district, where the chief made available 12 acres of land for the beneficiary women in his community to go into cultivation. So, which is a plus for us, yeah. Then the approach of providing gender equality training for husbands, that's the male champions, to augment the training given to the women in the savings group has made it easier for husbands and wives to appreciate the concept. So whatever trainings that we are providing to the women at the group's level, we are equally providing the same gender equality topics training to the male champions groups, so that it will not be awkward when the woman goes home and then she says, oh, maybe I'm tired or I'm too loaded with work. Can you hold the baby for me and let me do this? The man will not find it strange. So the men are having that conversation, the women are having that conversation, and it's been much easier for them to converse at home, for the men to understand the plight of the women, to appreciate the fact that the women are burdened and then they need to support them as partners. And because they have come to realize that there are so many benefits for them to gain as men if they are able to support the women to have time for their businesses. So that's another change we are seeing, and then we've taken note of it. The provision of the safe spaces for children has helped reduce the burden of childcare responsibilities on the women participants and is enabling them to have enough time for their businesses and then other chores. You go to the communities, they will say one thing. That's the first thing they will mention. One thing they want to thank the WISE project for is the safe space. The safe space. And that's how come some have gone ahead to making plans to turn these safe spaces into private schools. Initially, we targeted 25 children or less per each of the centers. But I tell you, you go to some of them, we have over 70 children at the center. We have over 90 children at the center. So that should tell you how beneficial these safe spaces are to the communities. And then they want to move them forward to the next level. Based on the business trainings that we've given to the women, we are seeing a bit of innovation on their aspect because they are now able to use raw materials from one business and then it becomes a resource for another business. Yeah, so this is bee combs that the woman has harvested her honey and she's been able to turn it into wax that they use to make candles. So that's the innovation bit. We have a number of them who are doing these innovations, and then this is a plus because for them to know that, okay, a waste from one business is a raw material for another business sector. It's a good thing. Thank you so much, and I'll end it here. So if you want to know more about WISE project, we can check that on the site. Thank you so much.
Quite a lot that Madame Rose has given us, a lot to ponder on. And I always tell this personal story that I believe that we act on our socialization mostly, depending on where we grew up and how we grew up. Because I lost my mom at 6 and I was raised by my dad. We were 4 girls, 1 boy, and my dad is the biggest feminist I know. He's the type who will support you from the start to the finish. Whatever career choice you choose, he will advise you, and that's it. And as a businesswoman, I'm learning about this candle. Maybe I will probably, because I sell honey, go into candle producing and all of that. But thank you so much, Madam Rose Awolena. Quickly, we're going to call on our representatives from GAC, but let me make some acknowledgements. Madam Richlove Enima Bechi has joined us. She's a rep from the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. Madam, can we see you? Thank you so much for joining us. Our chiefs as well, there's a representative from the Gwalana, and he is Yorongulana from the Gwalanga area. Chief Tepaya, thank you so much for coming. Our representative from Global Affairs Canada is Madame Lauren Cameron, and we're calling her now to the podium to come give us a few words. Thank you.
Good morning. Are we together? Wonderful. How is everyone? I'm glad to hear it. There's some life in here because it's still morning time. No one is sleeping yet. Oh, thank you everyone for having me. Thank you to Asun Kwarteng, the famous Asun Kwarteng I finally get to meet. Thank you to our very new country director for Plan International Ghana, Constance Chona. Thank you, Rose. Rose really is the life of this project, so I cannot give enough thanks to Rose. Thank you for all of our partners and distinguished guests for attending. It really shows your support for this project and your support for the ideas behind it, which is what we're really delighted to see. So on today's theme of fostering economic justice and equality for women leaders in business and entrepreneurship for accelerated economic growth, I have to say, Rose, I'm happy to see Plan International Ghana representatives here today. and to know that you have our support for this important work of advocating for women in Ghana, for their well-being, for equality, for women's leadership. But I'm also really happy to see that you have the support of your fellow Canadian partners implementing their own projects under the same Innovation for Women's Economic Empowerment in Ghana umbrella, which is a $30 million investment that Canada has made in our development programming in Ghana. So if you're hearing your name of your organization, if you could stand up and give a quick wave for me. So we have World University Services of Canada. There, I see you. We have Alinea International. Both of you, there we go. And we have Oxfam as well. So we're delighted to see that there's this solidarity between partners as well, and that even though we're learning so many lessons from the different project interventions, they're all individual, of course, but that there's this real solidarity of them learning from each other as well. So we're glad to see that. We're really happy. So we're in the business of international development, and in the end, when it comes down to it, that means poverty reduction, it means inclusion, it means support so that everyone can make their own decisions, their own choices. It means more opportunities for those who are marginalized, vulnerable groups, people who are excluded. We're talking about more choices. So we've made this investment in the WISE project with Plan Ghana because it was well developed, it was organized, and it responds to a need here in Ghana for women's economic empowerment. And now I'm going to say what our partners have heard many times, so bear with me. The reason why we're really investing in women's economic empowerment in Ghana is because that's the fundamental underpinning of our work worldwide. So we believe that gender equality and the empowerment of women are central to Canada's international assistance efforts around the world. And this stance has only gained strength since the adoption of our feminist international assistance policy that dates back to June 2017. So those of you who might remember the former Canadian International Development Agency will say that women were always on the agenda. Women have never not been important. It's just now that it is part of all of our projects. So you'll see projects in governance with a focus on women. You'll see projects in environment with a focus on women. And then very luckily, you'll see projects like this that focus on women, on gender equality. And that's one thing that we keep saying whenever we talk about our work. We say, we believe that gender equality matters. We believe that investing in women's economic empowerment is how we can advance our goals of reducing poverty. We truly believe that this is how we can achieve the means to our end of increasing women's agency, improving women's well-being, facilitating more options for women to decide the kind of life that they would like to lead. I heard many times since arriving in Ghana not too long ago, it's only been a few months, why are you focusing on women and girls? What about men? What about men and boys? And we say, you have to flip it around. It's actually, why are we not excluding women? It's about women's inclusion. It's because the majority in the past has been that women have been more marginalized, more excluded. So actually what we're doing is we're bringing them into the same arena as men and boys so that we can have equality. Because the important part of gender equality is equality. It's not privileging one gender over the other. It's really having an inclusive mindset so that when you have an opportunity, you're ready to take it. And we know that in our experience of women in Ghana, when women are given an opportunity, they will take it. They will take it. They're very willing. It's very impressive to see the opportunities that are given to women and how far they can go with a small opportunity, what they can make of it. We find it really something that we've been happy with, our results. We've been seeing some impressive results. But we know that this doesn't come without challenges. We know that you're facing gender stereotypes, stigma. We know that you're facing discrimination. We know that it takes courage, a lot of courage, and a lot of personal action. When it's at the family level, when it's at the community level, you really have to be your own advocate. But we're taking good notes, Rose. We're here as well, and we're all reminded that we all need to be advocates for women. It's our role for everyone. If we're doing this kind of work, it involves advocacy, and we're here to support you. So as on behalf of the Canadian High Commission here in Ghana, and on behalf of Global Affairs Canada, we can say that we are your advocates, and we'll always stand up for women and girls every single time. Thank you, Nez. I'm not going to speak much longer, so I'm going to wrap it up very quickly. We're just going to say that in our future work, we aspire to continue working here, to work with a diverse group of partners, to foster inclusion, to really have good involvement of local partners with our Canadian partners, and we're supporting Ghana to reach its sustainable development goals. So with that, I want to thank Plan Ghana for organizing this event, and thank you all. Translation, please.
Thank you so much to Madam Lauren Cameron. Thank you, beautiful people. You are showing a lot of love. So from GAC, and let me just give a brief summary, as she said, in Dagbanle and in Chi as well. Manama Mbanama Oyalia, Madam Lauren Cameron, Onyi Canada Oyalia ne Pabo Mal Yalgualapam. Timi Iboar nete Zang Bachantone, Tiboar nete Sonkaliab Sankana, Tia, Yonse, Pabokaritu, and to Sonka Babanu, Yalguala Shangabum Malzaka, the song by presentations, Marshang and Yel Lare, La Pangbo, Men Lare Songbo, Dems Yel Shamzang to Dabdilugu. Ka Madam Lauren Cameron yelne ti song paba kabato song vin yelanga and song lare the song back up dabdulugo chantone bi boar na bete position cam bento zang la arman song ba man kabete la position ma. So in a nutshell, don't cook yelma me pamocho Madam Lauren Cameron a ofri GAC ofri Canada or say ye boa ye ho a ma de ya ye nim say inequality no ewo a hobby bree inti say ye boama because manya ahonden ene moa de ombe to me aye no and to me and see that because who say Ghana man kasa omunya chance omu fen di agro say yan kasa yenim ejuma ye nyoma ye ton ye nya opportunity ye nya sika ye nya loans interest ne endorse wa ena mema no so na se si a omo ye mpanyimfo na omo ekwan na ye bekọ akọpẹ mmoa no eye se ye fa omo ka ye ho na omo nti ase na omo nti mma no bre aye bre ye pese ye ko enim because at the end of the day no efie nsem bibia no mma no na ewo enim a omo eboaboa nkola ne omo kunu ena at the end of the day ebeboa or mining because ye jai mano no moke ichria ye nyina uniform development no ye nye bida madam wase. My teachers in TIMAS in Kumasi must be proud, but let me call on the representative from the Gender Ministry, Madam Rishlav Enima Bechi. She's coming to give us a brief remark of their partnership with Plan International Ghana and on the WISE project as well. Madam Bechi, thank you.
Thank you very much. Plan International Ghana Country Director, representative from Global Affairs Canada, representative from Plan International Canada, chiefs from the project area, representatives and executive director of partnering organizations Urban Ghana and WIDOW, distinguished invited guests, representatives of civil society organizations, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. I bring you warm regards from the Chief Director of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Dr. Afisa Sakaria, who could not attend this program due to her engagement in another equally important assignment. She has asked me to express her sincere apology to you. So on behalf of the Chief Director, I read the speech. It is an honor to be invited to participate and address this August gathering for a national level advocacy campaign for the implementation of the Women's Innovation for Sustainable Enterprise project, which seeks to improve the social position of women by creating economic opportunities for increased women's control over resources and decision-making at household and community levels. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme, fostering economic justice and equality for women leaders in business and partnership for inclusive growth, is very laudable, especially at this time that all efforts are being made to build partnerships to break the glass ceilings and harness on gains made in promoting gender equality on the continent. I must therefore commend Plan International, the organizers of the Women's Innovation for Sustainable Enterprise project in Ghana, for their continuous commitment in appreciating the importance of empowering women and advocating for women's participation in leadership at all levels. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, every year, the 8th of March is set aside globally to celebrate the social, economic, and cultural and practical achievements of women. Women across the world are celebrated for their continuous strive for excellence and hard work in national development. On this day, we salute and celebrate women's achievements and call for increased advocacy for the promotion of gender equality, equity, as well as women and girls' empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, the global theme for this year's International Women's Day celebration is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress, with a campaign theme, Invest in Women. Indeed, this year's commemoration presents us with the opportunity to celebrate and invest in the social, economic, and political participation of women. It is also a time for action to highlight the present challenges that women continue to face in the areas of discrimination, violence, abuse, and economic exclusion by creating a safe space for all women through sustainable investments. Investing in women, ladies and gentlemen, is not only an economic strategy. It includes their human, social, and health rights and needs. Therefore, as a country, we must consider policies that enhance equality, equity, and the full integration of women into the national development process for sustainable growth. I must emphasize that government places utmost importance on efforts that have to do with empowering, promoting, and protecting the rights of women and affording them the platform to propel their innovations and ingenuity. The government's efforts in promoting gender equality and women empowerment are evident in the enactment of laws, development of policies, strategies, and commitments to international instruments. The Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection has currently reviewed and updated the National Gender Policy. This policy seeks to create equal opportunities for all by mainstreaming gender equality and women's empowerment concerns into our national development process to ensure that no one is left behind. The Affirmative Action Bill, which is also before Parliament for debate, and seeks to effectively redress the social, cultural, and economic and political gender imbalances, as well as promote a progressive increase in the active participation of women in the public life. Currently, the Social Protection Bill is before Parliament for debate and will provide a good opportunity to promote the full employment and decent work for the vulnerable, who are mostly women, to ensure their productive inclusion in ending poverty and all its forms in the country. For us to promote our advocacy agenda and advance change, we ought to build stronger partnerships as enshrined in the Sustainable Development Goal 5. As a nation, we are obliged to integrate gender into national planning and budgeting to address inequalities leading to gender mainstreaming at all levels. I urge us all to create an all-inclusive environment that will help promote the diversity, investment, and effective collaboration for women in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection on this occasion wishes to applaud all women of the Republic of Ghana, irrespective of their field of work, for their immense contribution to national development. We also salute our male champions for supporting the cause of gender equality, equity, and women empowerment. My ministry is prepared to partner with the organizers of this advocacy campaign and other stakeholders working to promote the gender agenda in the country and beyond to achieve the gender parity that we are all working towards for an effective national development. It is my humble appeal that this tremendous effort will not end at this gathering here. It will be the beginning of a long-standing practice within our continent. On this note, I wish you a fruitful deliberation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Madam Richlove Enima Berchi from the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. She's actually a keynote speaker, guest speaker, and she was speaking on behalf of the Chief Director of the Ministry of Gender, Dr. Afisa Zakaria, who is away in New York, also pushing the agenda of women inclusivity and empowerment. We're still live on Joy News on TV and online as well, and on Plan International Ghana's online pages on Facebook. We're moving quickly into the panel discussion, and let me call on the women who are going to lead the charge. Madam Jemima Arthur, Deputy at the Greater Accra Regional, she's Deputy Greater Accra Regional Manager, Ghana Enterprises Agency. Madam Jemima Arthur, please make yourself comfortable at on top of the stage, I should say. Hajia Lamnatu Adam, Executive Director of Songtaba, as well, is here. Let's usher her to the stage. Thank you. Madam Catherine Krobo Edusei, CEO of Eden Tree Ghana. Very delicious food, I must say, at Eden Tree. Madam Rebecca Mumuni is a revered entrepreneur. Madam Rebecca, please join us up here. Thank you so much. We'll take a Q&A in the course of this, but we'll start with this. Thank you. It's true. Please, let's give it up to say thank you very much. You know, the protection. Yes, the support and the protection. Thank you. I'm going to begin with Madam Catherine and Madam Rebecca. I just want you to tell us your stories about how you started, you know, what you're doing business. Let me start with you, Madam Catherine. Tell us how the idea developed and how it has been like.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Catherine Kwedus, as it was mentioned, and I'm the MD of Eden Tree Limited. I don't know if anyone knows of Eden Tree, but we are producers of fresh fruits, herbs, and vegetables, and we distribute to most of the supermarkets in Accra. How did I start Eden Tree? Well, as usual, as a woman, I had 2 children very close together, so I had to resign from my job in banking in London and come to Ghana. and start a business. And I didn't want to go back into the formal working space so that I can be with the children. And then I prayed a lot, and then Eden Tree dropped divinely, and I realized that the things that I used to cook with when I was in the UK was not available. This was in 1996. And then I started planting, and when I planted, the herbs grew beautifully, and then I packaged, and when I packaged, I took it to the only supermarket in Accra, which was Quatson's then. The manager looked at the tray and asked me, "What is this?" I said, "Oh, these are herbs for cooking." He shrugged his shoulders and said, "Okay, I'll display. If it sells, I'll pay you. If it doesn't sell, come and collect everything." So we shook hands, and I said, "We have a deal." When I went the next day, everything was gone. Not a single pack of herbs was left on the tray.
Wow.
So that was the beginning of Eden Tree, and I started with 2 helps of mine, and today we employ 65. Thank you.
Wow. 65. I'm sure it hasn't been all rosy, bed of roses. What are some of the challenges that you may have encountered in your space?
Yes, the challenge is working in Ghana, the business environment is very tough. You have to be resilient. You really have to be strong. You have to jump the hurdles. I always tell my mentees, the hurdles are going to come, the challenges are going to come. However, we are here to solve problems. So every problem that comes your way, try and find solutions, because that's really the backbone of an entrepreneur. What are you selling? You are solving someone's problem. So you always have to jump the hurdles.
Thank you so much. Jump the hurdles is the key word. Madam Rebecca, tell us, what has the journey been like, similar to the Eden Tree story?
My name is Rebecca Mumuni, and I'm producing mushroom. At first, when I started, I used to go and buy the bags, the already made bags. To do when I was doing it, it wasn't well because they don't do it well. If you go to and see where their mushroom farms are. So when I was buying it, I was having challenges with the growth. So I decided to produce it myself. And I searched the social media to see how I can do it. So I was doing it in my first production. The thing didn't work for me, but I didn't give up. I still did the second one, and that one worked for me. So God being so good, Plan Ghana brought the WISE project to train us on skills production, on skills. So I since I was into the mushroom already, I went for the training, and that has equipped me. You know, I produce it myself and also sell it to other women. Now I produce about 2,000 bags of mushrooms.
Where do you produce this though?
I'm in Tanonof.
Okay.
Jiankwanta specific.
Okay.
I have origin.
Right. I'll come back to you and the market and all of that, both of you, because you're in the food and the entrepreneur space. But let me come to Hajia Lamna too, who is big in the CSO space in an enclave of Ghana that is tough to change mindset sometimes about cultural norms and practices. And I was given the example of my father, but not many would have the privilege to have that patriarchy and its effects stares them in their face. Hajia, tell us, what are some of the barriers that women have to, climb to be able to make it like them?
Thank you very much. And I say Salamu Alaikum. We're in the month of Ramadan, and may the blessings of Ramadan be with us. I think that if you look at our societal norms, it places a huge burden on women, such that if you look within our household, women do close to about 90% of our care work. And that alone will tell you that before a woman could finish all of this care work and house chores of running along to bring water, fire, fuel, wood, and child caring, she has little time to be engaged in productive activities and even participate in leadership spaces. And this is because we are dominant in patriarchy. And because of this huge burden that is placed on women, women have less time to be able to do productive work. Besides that, we have huge illiteracy gaps. And with huge illiteracy gap, looking at the changing trend in our businesses, it then means that it limits our participation even in the digital market. And as we heard our earlier on speakers talking about women access to land and other productive resources, such as, even information, So these issues, brings a whole barrier to women. If you look within our setting, you would have seen that there's a burden of responsibility that is given to men to be those taking care of bigger things. But in actual sense, if you quantify the other smaller things that women do, you see that collectively it's more than what women do. And so religion, culture, places huge responsibility for care work and family upkeep on women. And that alone is a huge responsibility that women need to do. And so it limits our time. That's the emphasis of our societal norms. And so we do not also have the cooperation of a lot of our men to be able to even recognize the work that women do as productive, because it doesn't bring money to them. And so it is important that men first recognize that the burden of women is great. And if they're able to recognize that, then they will put in actions and redistribute some of these gender roles so that women's time would be increased and have their unpaid care work reduced. And so if you look within our strategies, we are key on the 3 R's. Recognition that women's work is work, redistributing this work to ensure that the burden of women is reduced. And so these are some of the norms that we think that we can challenge. But then also we have what we call the gender model family, where redistribution is not just about women and men, but it goes to girls and boys. Because like it or not, when children see what their parents do, they grow up with it. So as a child, if she has the responsibility as a boy to fetch water, to sweep, to wash the bowls, he grows up with it. And remember, especially within our context, we have very large household. You have a household of about 20. And if water fetching alone is going to be left for girls and for women, then that tells us that our work is never going to end. So there could be other barriers, as we've seen, issues around access to credit, issues around access to land, issues around information, issues around digitization, our participation. They are all barriers that affect women.
Lots that she said, and I'll keep giving the example. My little brother, raised by my father alone, now he's in Scotland in school doing his master's, and he keeps sending us pictures of the foods he cooks by himself, because as a boy, if you eat, you clean your plate, you wash your clothes, you do all the things that the girls do. So as Ajia has said, the gender roles, and I would like us to do some self-introspection, ask ourselves, what do we do as the father figure, the man in the home? What does your wife do or the woman do at home? What can you do that the woman does? And what can you do that the man does? I believe that's what Ajia is saying. For information, digitalization, key in development and the entrepreneurial space, I'm sure we all agree. Let me come to Madam Jemima. Madam Jemima, mentorship, access to finance, what are the interrelations and how do we better this?
So mentorship is very, very key when starting a business. Imagine you have somebody who is well experienced in what you want to do. The person is able to handhold you through the process. Like if I'm into dressmaking and I have a mentor who is already in the field, there are some error I will not commit because she is there to guide me through the process. And about the access to finance, most often, I think we neglect our books. All we are focused on, we getting the money or we generating income. So sometimes when we ask entrepreneurs to keep records, it looks as if it's an added responsibility. But forgetting that at the end of the day, you need to know whether you are making profit or loss. Then you can reflect, what am I doing good? What am I doing bad? So that you can go back to the drawing board. Maybe this area I was not good at, this area I was good at. So what can be done about it? And another area too is our banking culture. You don't have to have more money before you can bank. Even with the small that you have, at least you need to run the bank. We talk about some of the challenges when women are starting or startups have access to finance. If you don't keep or if you don't run your bank, how would a bank know that, oh, this woman is doing well, at least she started with 10 Ghana cedis and her funds are growing? It doesn't mean you need to get profit before you can bank it. After the day's sales, whatever you have, you can bank it. The next day, go and withdraw. You use it to restock again. Then, when you are in need, anybody can come at your defense. But we leave it open. People think, oh, we are not keeping records. We don't even know how much. There are women, they are doing very well. I remember I used to work in Ada. Sometimes when I'm doing this, how do we call it? Follow up. You ask somebody's question. I remember as far back 2016, I was asking one fishmonger a question, and I wanted to know her sales for a day, and she mentioned 20,000. I thought maybe she was really confused about the figure. I said, you mean 200,000 Ghana cedi old? And she said, yes. I said, what? So these women can make that much, but they are not keeping record. They are also not banking. So if maybe they are in need, how would the bank also come to their defense? So that's what I can say.
You must agree, very salient points. Get them to have confidence in you by keeping records to show the track of your growth as a business. Madam Catherine, tell us, digitization in this space, how do you take advantage of it and how can it propel, entrepreneurs and their business and even information, as the two speakers have said, having access to it?
Yes, it's extremely helpful. So I think we need trainings for those who are in the rural areas to know how to digitize their business, because it's very quick, it's very fast. In the olden days, you have to move from one area to the other before you get something done. But today, it's just a click away. And with the phone, you can do so much with the phone. WhatsApp, in fact, even within our company, we use WhatsApp to communicate with other departments, because otherwise you'll have to get up from your office to go to the other department. But it's not necessary anymore. So it's important that we digitize if we want to move fast.
So information flow has become much easier.
Absolutely,
but
yes.
you'd have to know how to use it to be able to maximize.
So that's where the training is needed.
Its benefit. Madam Rebecca, Madam Jemima, how do record keeping and even online presence, how does it come into, building confidence in a business to be able to support them? She talked about social media. Is it having enough following on social media with your business present there after registering the business?
Okay. Hello. So as a business, you need to formalize your business. That's the way to go. After formalization, maybe you have registered with the registrar, office of the registrar of company. They've changed their name.
Registrar General.
Yeah, former registrar general. you need to register with them. Because even if you want social presence, there are certain products, it has to be certified. You go to FDA, they will ask for the certificate, that is the business certificate. When you go to the GSA, they will also ask for the business certificate. So formalization is the first thing that we have to do. After that, we're asking whether our presence in the social media boosts our confidence. Yes, it really does, because it makes you structuralize your system. If you have to put a content in the social media, what would you do? You first have to maybe write something about your business. Even if you have a logo, you need to put it out there. Your label, you cannot package your product anyhow and you put it on the social media. People are much particular about what you present. So your product should be attractive enough. There are sometimes, maybe those of us who do window shopping, there are sometimes when you go to the shop, you don't even intend buying. But when you see a product, the way it's being packaged, you are attracted to it and you want to buy. So you really have to put a good content over that. By so doing, it means you yourself, you are confident enough before you even go out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Jemima. Let me come back to you, Hajia Lamna, too. Sometimes when it comes to the products that women sell, the skills that they even acquire to start a business, to sell a product, to be able to compete in a tough terrain, CSOs like Plan International Ghana, your NGO, do a lot of training to give women information. How do you, grow that? How do you ensure that it gets to people who really, really need this information and skills?
Well, for women entrepreneurs, the basics is to get them started, as she's mentioned, get them formally registered so that they can also, will get to benefit from other opportunities. For we at the civil society space, there are a whole lot of opportunities and programs that are running. For example, if you look at the presentation we've seen this morning on the WISE, you can see, varied interventions that they do, going into green businesses and the like. We, as an organization, Songtaba, has created what we call the e-commerce platform that people can log on and then sell their produce there, because we recognize that there's a gap in the digital market, and so we have done that. If you look at Alinea Foundation, they have ventured into the male-dominated trades for young women, and besides them having that trade, they have complemented that with soft skills and several others. We have the MasterCard Foundation, which gives skills. They also give loans and small startup capitals. We have Comfort, who are doing some other coaching and mentoring program. So there are whole varied programs that civil society run. But what is important is how we get all of these people connected, how we are able to ensure that there's a learning kind of hub where we can coordinate some of the learnings that we are getting from the various civil society organizations, the beautiful innovations that they are doing, so that it can be a one point that people can go and learn. But above all, we need to ensure that there's information share among the people that we support. And having communities of practice, for example, for all people who are into green businesses will be a great idea. And then also emphasizing on the need for coaching, mentoring. Coaching and mentoring seem to have worked a lot because it gives the person the opportunity to learn from another person who is doing greater things. And by that, as she mentioned, it will limit, some of the gaps and the mistakes that new entrants would have been making. So there are a whole lot of, ideas that are there in the system that civil society are doing. Some are looking at digitization. Others are looking at direct, service delivery issues. Others are looking at skills development just within the chosen, work that people want to venture in. We recognize also that beyond the training, there's the need to completely set up the person and ensure that the person gets started. And admit that most of the interventions that we do, it ends at the training. The person has information, the person is trained, he has the skills, but we do not go beyond to look at how the person settles, how the person starts, and how we are connecting. And that is why I'm so much in love with what Alenia Foundation does, because beyond the hard skills training that they do, they complement that with soft skills, looking at issues around, markets, how to get settled, how to even believe in themselves as entrepreneurs, and then also gives them masters where they can attach and then settles them. And I think this is what we need to see in the entrepreneur space, that it is not enough to just train people. It is also good that we do all the resources, all the connectivity so that we get them settled. And then we showcase the things that they are doing. Because it's only when we're able to showcase what they are doing that they'll be able to be more exposed.
Thank you, Haja Lamna, to showcase what they do, because I did say it's a tough market out there. Imagine local products competing with foreign products and all of that. Madam Rebecca, you have something to say, Madam Jemima?
Adam, there was a program that GIZ, together with Ghana Enterprises Agency, we introduced after the COVID. The name is D4J, Digitalization for Job. And one of my seamstress or my fashion designer was a beneficiary to this program. And recently I went to a place to sew. After discussion with her, she said, Madam, I want to give you the bill. Then she generated an invoice, sent it to me, and she stated the detail. Maybe for this dress, this is how much. I've given you a discount of 5 Ghana cedis. At the end of the day, because I was holding the invoice, normally, we women, we will ask for reduction. I was just fixed. I couldn't say anything, just to do the payment. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That is a great sustainability mechanism for a business, and that's what I was coming to on Mother Rebecca. How have you been able to sustain your business?
Thank you very much. Let me quickly say that Madam Catherine here is my mentor. She is one of the able 10 mentors that took us through. Through the mentorship program, WISE Plan International, through the WISE project, our able mentors turn our life around. They guide us through so many things, how to plan our business, records keeping. We do it, the branding, packaging. If you go out there, you see their handiwork in us. So because of that, the plan have been taking us around. Farmers Day, they will take us there to expose us. Through that, we have been getting more customers, and we are producing more. And we have more and more customers, just that we've not been able to expand the business while we are expanding the business. So that one have been sustaining us in this thing. With our Village Savings and Loan Association, that has made us to get money to support our businesses. Now, because of that group, women are those areas. We are no more lazy. If you see a woman, the way we walk, we don't walk anyhow. You just see everybody walking, very hurry. They walk, they don't relax again. We are all up and doing to just get money to go and save. Those who are saving all the days, they have certain days. For our own is on Sunday. But if you see women walking during the meeting time, they don't want to be late. So we are now time conscious. Through the Village Saving and Loan Association, they have just turned our life around. We are very grateful to Plan International Ghana for implementing that petition.
Let's show some appreciation
To that, I'd like
Amazing.
to add to that.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to say ICO to Plan Ghana. They are doing wonderful things, but there are two key things that for me stands out is the safe space for the children. That's one. And then number two, the mentorship. I am really proud to be one of the mentors of the ladies. And you'll find that when we started with them, they were timid. They didn't have the confidence. By the time we left, they were brimming with confidence. And sometimes it is just that push to see someone who's an example of what it can be and that you can do it. And then the safe space, when I came and I had 2 children, I had to plan a balance because you have to take care of the children and you have to focus on the business. So you get someone to help you with the children. So that's what the safe space is providing, so that the women can also focus on the business. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So inspirational. I'd like to do a little translation and then we'll take another round of your thoughts. Bibi ayaka no and ayaka no yempenyu phone. There's a mix of Dagbani entry. Okay. Yeka no say. Mami started free Haji Alamna to Okanyama Bebre or say Nkrofo no omubuano omu say ye amamre nioma bi wo ho a enu na emboaye obeka say obade na-ejuma say onye sei ejuma no kra edoso a umboano ye papa for na making yi say the other way round so nti ye mboaboa ye ho oka say oboaboa oyire ho a ana ukunu ho a businesses a oye na wo so wo ye no munyina at the end of the day mobetumi anya dia mope musika no mobenya ni ye ejuma no so ebekoso ye. Madam Catherine Washayo, no a CEO of a spices and herbs company, Oton Ejani Nioma, the Edi Jani. And I also say, no, the abuan and they say, wa buane ho, Jane Juma wo abrochiri. And or buy a baby starting the business, No starting and the confidence they say or the a sample nyamani be eco supermarket say or come moaton or they call honum no not papa say hey nyama we beton or say oh try a share and also okay me try a share me the better count and him obe sabano na nyamani nyina eco ye enti or starting say or packaging ye because of feel say Nkrofo here sanioma no nti say oye sanioma no products ne ema nkrofo no mata na onya ne business ono so ye mentor edema Madam Rebecca ono or starting a business ewo bono honum no o si we sua pa every Madam Catherine ho na the Plan International abuano ne Madam Catherine no otumi keep records nti autonioma o chroto ho ohu sales a o make na ebia de o make ye no ni nyina aboa no nti se okoji busia eno na odeko na Madam Jemima ka the importance or say eno very vital because ukope mwa unni records unni ade a be kire say oh de bia me ton say ya obebre na onu hia ye maami bi kra oton nchinam onu betumi otuminya 20,000 Ghana cedi na eye ne wanwa because on dream say omunya saa sika bebre but on tro on keep records bia on fan to bank nso yenso yenim niama tonfo yi kakra ye say makola ahye kejeti ahye nti himfa no de ne sika ko on fan ko bank na ebeboa no na ne sika no aha bibia ntuno dem solo te kwamba ma yale yetu apam neto aiko embo songsem ankwa har dabdil go shalma de tunne asabro songda kayunda anyer nyor shale ne ambe nyer nyor shale den sa anto zang la gbang be shaharama ati chang na to bola pangda ka chang bank ne ho savings and loans banto song akata la arma ka zang na business man a je lamna to ba yale ne to ton ku be yang songo paɣaba niŋdi yɛla maa pam bia kom subu bia bindirigu shikuru uniform binyɛra pam ti ba nim maa soŋsim maa di kan la ka di ʒiya kama bin wumsi ti shɛm bala paɣa ŋuna nyini tuma ni ku nyɛ shɛli n bɔŋɔ doo ŋun mi tuma n bɔŋɔ amaa ti sɔŋ taba din tooi sɔŋ ka ti zaa biɛhagu chaŋ tooni viɛnyɛlinga to madam Rebecca gba nyɛla ŋun kɔhiri dabiligu o yɛliya ni o dabiligu maa o ni sabiri sɔŋdi maa di sɔŋ o pam o mi o kpɛmi nyɛ madam Catherine ŋun o malila bin yi kɔhiri herbs bin spices la bindira yɛtɔɣa ni ka o be